One of the big problems with me is I've got an addiction, and I'm lucky that this addiction is around buying companies and growing businesses. And I've studied loads of really successful entrepreneurs, and lots of them have become my friends. And certainly for me personally, I definitely think I'm in the weird camp. Building a business and taking the financial risks, the personal guarantees, the huge time sacrifice into building a commercially profitable enterprise is something that I just don't advise most people to do, because it's really, really hard, and most sane people would give up. Where does the basis of this foundation of thinking comes from? Well, if you're really going to go to stratosphere, I don't mean just building a lifestyle business that's paying you up to £200,000 a year. I mean, going to the next level, being Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Richard Branson, trying to change the world, building a monster of a company, which is definitely my aims and ambitions to do. You're wired up differently, and you're just going to find it very, very difficult. And what's always started the thesis of my thinking around this space was when I saw a video about 10 years ago from an interview with Steve Jobs, the Apple founder. I just want to show you that video right now.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. And that's what happens to most people, actually. If you really look at the ones that ended up, being successful, unquote, in the eyes of society, and the ones that didn't, oftentimes it's the ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere when it got really tough. And the ones that didn't love it quit because they're sane, right? Who would want to put up with this stuff if you don't love it?
Yeah, when we watch that, he's saying, this guy was just the titan of entrepreneurship, that it is so bloody difficult. You have to be so passionate about the thing that you do, or you'll give up. And most people give up because they're actually sane. I think I'm insane for doing the things that I do sometimes. I tell other people I've just borrowed £2 million for that, or I'm going to invest £1 million into that. And they're like, why? Why are you doing this, James? Every time I go and buy another company or grow my companies, my personal lifestyle doesn't change. And I actually don't know why I do it, other than some desire to try and change the world. Maybe it's because I am wired up differently. I've studied these really successful people that, I call friends now. The amount of them that have ADHD, that self-proclaim they're on the spectrum or have got dyslexia. We now know that Elon Musk, super successful entrepreneur, is autistic. We know that Richard Branson is dyslexic and has ADHD. And I know from the facts and the discoveries that I've found that 35% of self-made millionaires in the United Kingdom are dyslexic. These numbers there's too much coincidence. And I think that ability to think differently, we know that ADHD people have hyper-focus, so they can hyper-focus on a goal. We know that dyslexic people have an amazing way of thinking differently. And again, with autistic people, why is it that so many successful people have these traits that, they've been punished for their youth for not doing so well at school, but then they come out of school and then become hyper and super successful? And the fact that successful people only focus on the stuff that generates the most success, whereas most other human beings that are maybe neurotypical will, persevere to just about get by, whereas people that think outside the box, let's say it like that, just don't see that as a good use of their time and will pull other people in. I think that's one of the great things about dyslexia with kids, is that they're given permission from a young age. It's okay to get help. It's okay to think differently. It's okay to get support, whereas that makes you great in business to go and get support. So these are just some of the things that whirl around in my head, especially when I'm looking at myself, as I get older, I can, and I suppose as I've done things more successfully, I suppose I can look at myself and go, yeah, I am a bit weird. I'm a bit strange. The way I think is a bit weird. And I have to be careful when I'm giving people that are not entrepreneurs advice. People ask me, James, should I invest in this? And James, should I invest in that? The way I think about investing is borrow as much money as you can, pay it back, grow companies, buy companies, employ people. That's not for everyone, It's It's just not. And have they got the capabilities of dealing with those things? You know, I always say this, if you can't manage stress, you no way can you manage success. You know, these are just some of the things that I think. Hunger. I mean, it's unbelievable, the hunger that people have when they are successful entrepreneurs to get stuff over the line, the hyper-focus, the mounting approach that they have to make the goal achieved is just unbelievable. And then when they achieve the goal, it's so short-lived, they're on to the next goal. I mean, if you think about someone that goes through normal study, maybe they're studying to be a doctor, like they get to the doctor stage, and then they have a career being a doctor. With an entrepreneur, they get to the stage of building a £10 million company. They feel great about that for literally 20 seconds. Next day, let's build a 20 million company. They get there, next day, let's build a 50 million, 100 million, let's buy this, let's start that. And they're just constantly going and going and going with no desire to stop. And that can be exhausting. And it can be exhausting for the people around you. And I sort of train my brain that I want to be a great entrepreneur. I want to be doing great things and moving the world forward. But I also want to be a great dad and a great partner to my other half. I want to do great things like that as well. And I've forced myself to do, well, not forced myself, I like doing that stuff. You know, it's just, yeah, I'm trying to get over to you that when you're watching this video, and you watch my videos, if you're a regular viewer and you're seeing all the things that I do, I want you to know, especially after doing the podcast, 300 episodes of this thing, I'm speaking to entrepreneurs, you don't have to do the stuff that I do to the size of the stuff that I do. If you are happy building a £40,000 business and you've got great time, freedom, and it fits around your family, then that's great, that's okay. You just don't have to do it to the levels that I do it. Why do we do it as well? That's another thing. I'm asking myself this stuff all the time. Why am I pushing myself so much? I don't know. Here's another thing. Why is there only so many people that want to be high achiever entrepreneurs? So many people that want to be doctors, so many people that want to be teachers. You know, why is the world like that? I mean, this is, obviously, I can't give the answer on YouTube, you know, but there is only so many people like me that, for a start, want to employ people. The amount of business owners that avoid growing their business over VAT levels just so they don't have more paperwork, or employing someone so they don't have to deal with the risk of employment, whereas what they're doing is actually trapping themselves into swapping time for money and never building a business to sell. But then maybe they just think that's okay. I don't know, King. What do you think? You know, why are we like this? If you're like this, why are you like this? Why do you want to achieve so much? It's really a subject that I want to get my head around and study entrepreneurs in a way that we can try and understand why they do what they do. Maybe it's some childhood trauma. Yeah, do I want to improve myself to people? Yeah, of course, yeah. Everyone that's an entrepreneur has some form of ego, and I admit it here. My ego makes me want to keep growing my companies. I grow my company so I can offer my team huge opportunities and be able to move mountains. You know, look, this is a very honest video. Like, I hate saying that I make decisions based on ego at times, but I do want to do more and be something. And I don't know. What do you think, guys? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.